that we want every child to go as far as their talent or ability will allow them to have a really good chance in life. But it doesn't always work like that. And we've got to confront that reality. I was lucky, I was fortunate. I was the first in my family to go to university. But it didn't work even in my family. Because for my brother, who had difficulties learning, it didn't work for him. And that's the same for hundreds of thousands of children, year on year. The system doesn't work for them. And actually, they don't have the chance to go as far as their talent or ability would actually allow them to go. They don't get the chance to fulfill their potential. And we have to fight for those children. We have to fight for those young people. We have to show that we're on their side and we're a government that is fighting for them, that we're their government in many respects. Now, good things have happened in schools in terms of standards. The last Labour government put in place the framework for that, and that's being built on, and we need to acknowledge that. But it still doesn't work in the way that it should. I want to go back to my family again because, as I say, I was fortunate. I was being fast-tracked through the system to get to that university place. It was the most incredible experience to go from a village on the Surrey-Kent border to the city of Leeds to go to university and to set me up for a legal career. A really fortunate chance for me to fulfil potential. But for my brother, as I say, had difficulties learning. The system did not work for him. He got put to one side. He got forgotten. He didn't get the support that he needed. And he had to fight every single day just to count, to be seen, to be taken into account. And one of the things that's etched on my mind is something my dad said to me over and over again when I was growing up. Because as I was going through the system, he said to me, "You're not doing any better than Nick, your brother. Nick is doing just as well as you." Because he wanted to instill in me that everybody should have the same chance, that everybody should be gauged by their own ability and have the ability to have that pushed through. And we need to do that now. Now, it's got better. I don't doubt that from when I was growing up. But is it really true? Do we put equal worth into children and young people who don't want to go to university? Do we really, really value apprenticeships in the way we should? I think apprenticeships are brilliant, by the way. I'd really champion them. I think it's fantastic to leave school and go into an apprenticeship, which is just as skilled, uses just as much brain power, allows children to really show what they can do. But do we really value it? When we talk about what our children are doing, do we really value and talk up apprenticeships in the same way? Because I don't think we do. I don't think that we do. We still have this tilt in the system that suggests university is one thing and apprenticeship is the other. That's not true. It's not right. I don't believe in that. And we need to level this up. We don't believe enough in work, the power of work, what people can do at work. We don't talk this up enough. And so we need to change the system. We need to fight the system. We can't be complacent about this and simply say, well, it's all right, we shrug our shoulders. We've got to fight, fight, fight for the children and young people who need our assistance to make sure they can go as far as their potential and their talent and their ability would take them. So we're fighting for them. And we're about to do a white paper, which is where governments get to set out their proposals about how we make education more inclusive so that every child gets that chance, whatever their background and whatever their ability, they get that chance to go as far as they can on their own abilities and their own talents. So that's what we're pushing forward. And I want to talk about another aspect of challenge for children and young people, and that's social media. Now, confession, I have two teenage children. My boy is 17 and my girl is 15. So I see this in the way many, many parents do, with a real sense of concern about the time that's spent on social media, the content that's available on social media, the addictive nature of a lot of what's happening on social media, the way it draws children in and takes away other aspects of their growing up because it's all online, it's all on their phones or their screens in front of them. I don't think there's a parent in the country who isn't worried about this, by the way. I really don't. Everybody's worried. And they feel, how am I supposed to police this on my own as a parent? And it's very, very difficult. And we as a government need to be up there alongside parents, providing leadership and support for them when it comes to social media. And we will. Now, we've already announced that we're going to do a consultation on banning social media for under 16s. And that will start very soon. But I'm really clear, the status quo, things as they are now, is not good enough. Nobody can make the argument that things can be left as they are. They can't, they're not protective of children, and we intend to act. But what we're doing now is taking the powers available to make sure at the end of that consultation we can move really fast. Because what can happen with governments, you saw it with the last government, we had an Online Safety Act, which is good because it restricts what's available online. The trouble is it took 8 years from the original idea to get to an outcome. We can't have 8 years when it comes to social media and whether we ban it or massive restrictions in place. So we've taken the powers now, we're taking the powers to make sure we can act within months, not years. We also need to act very quickly, not just on the age concern, but on the devices and applications that mean the sort of auto-scrolling, the constant gluing to the machine, that you can never stop scrolling and it just encourages you, or that one thing follows from another. We have to break that habit to stop the addictive nature. We also need to do with AI bots. This is something relatively new, and we saw with Grok. Did you see the thing with Grok just the other week? An AI bot that allowed you to instruct it to undress people. And it did. It was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And we went into battle on that because I thought this is not good enough. We went into battle, we made the necessary steps, we threatened action, and we won that battle in relation to Grok, but we've got to do it with all AI bots, and we will do it. And we can do that by amending some of the legislation that we've already got in place. So that is where we're going with this. That is what we need to do. The status quo is not good enough. We need to protect our children, and this government is making protecting our children a number one priority. So whatever is necessary in relation to social media, we will take those steps because it's been talked about for a long time. As I say, there's not a single parent in the country who isn't really worried about this, and many more besides. But we can't just wait and take years and years and years. We need to act very quickly, and that's what we're intending to do. Firstly, on the question of social media, look, we need to go at speed. And that's really, if there's one takeaway from what I'm saying this morning, it is we need to go at speed. Everybody, I think, pretty much, perhaps the platform providers are the exception, knows that we need better protection for children. We haven't got it. The status quo is not good enough. And as I said a moment ago, the Online Safety Act, yes, a good piece of legislation under the last government, but it took 8 years from the discussion that something needs to be done to an outcome. I'm not prepared to let this take 8 years, which is why we're taking the powers now. We'll have the consultation, and then when we've got the outcome, we can implement it very, very quickly. And I say implement it because there will be action coming out of this consultation. There is no way we have a consultation here and conclude that the status quo is fine, things don't need to change. They don't protect children enough. We need to take action to fight for those children and fight for their parents, frankly, because a lot of parents feel, I'm left to police this on my own. How am I supposed to do that? I need a government that's up there with me. So yes, absolutely, we want to go more quickly. In relation to the consultation, look, I'm open-minded about it. I can see the argument for a ban. I can see the argument that a much more restrictive content-based approach, which doesn't necessarily cut out news and useful information. I think we need to test those options in the consultation, but whatever the outcome, it can't be nothing. It can't be the status quo. We have got to act to protect children. We've got to act, frankly, to help parents and carers who are all really worried about this in relation to their own children and the children they know, and they want to know the government's on their side and it's going to come up and show leadership and support to them in what they need to do. In relation to your second question on Labour Together, there will be a Cabinet Office investigation into the allegations, and quite right to, and so that is already in place. I didn't know anything about this investigation, and it absolutely needs to be looked into, so the Cabinet Office will be establishing the facts. Thank you, and I think I'm taking a second one from Chris.
Thanks, Chris from PMPA. To talk about keeping people safe more widely, the Chief of the Defence Staff and his German counterpart have been in the newspaper talking about the moral case for the army. Do you need to start making that moral case? And does that involve bringing the 3% of GDP spending target forward to 2029?
Well, thank you for that. You will have seen over the weekend, I was making the argument at the Munich Security Conference that we, the UK and Europe, need to step up when it comes to defence and security. We have a threat of Russian aggression, which is obvious. In a few days' time, it's the 4-year anniversary of the start of the conflict in Ukraine. We want a just and lasting peace, but that will not extinguish the Russian threat. And we need to be alert to that, because that's going to affect every single person in this room, every single person in this country. So we need to step up. That means on defence spending, we need to go faster. We've obviously made commitments already in relation to that. But it goes beyond just how much you spend. It's also whether you coordinate and collaborate with other like-minded countries, particularly in Europe. And that's the case I've been making, which is that in addition to how much you spend, it's got to be how you work together as a group of countries. How we make NATO stronger, a European NATO, if you like. NATO has been the most successful military alliance the world has ever seen. Countries which, across the continent, used to be on the battlefield against each other for centuries, now stand together, ready to defend each other. That's what we need to build on. That will affect every person in this country, and that's where I'm absolutely determined that the United Kingdom will show the leadership that's necessary. Thank you very much indeed. I think I'm now going to have a cup of tea, and I'm going here. Really, I may not have it. I may not sit here.